Hi everyone, this is Joelle Fawcett, and welcome back to the Soul Method podcast.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic.
Hi everyone, and welcome back. This is Joelle Fawcett, and I am your host and the founder of the Soul Method, where our mission is to be your guide to heal from the past, be at peace in the present, and create a future you love. And welcome to Season 2, Episode 11 of the Soul Method podcast, titled How to Achieve Your New Year's Goals. I hope every one of you out there had an amazing holiday season. I know we have another big weekend coming up this weekend for New Year's, and that absolutely is the inspiration for this podcast episode. Because let's be real, I think New Year's resolutions get a really bad rap. A lot of people probably have tried to make resolutions before and they didn't turn out so well, or they didn't turn out the way that you had wanted. In fact, I did quite a bit of research for this episode, and I discovered that on average, last year, only 9% of people who set New Year's resolutions actually achieved them by the end of the year, and that's going from 2021 to 2022. So it really got me thinking, what sets these people apart, right? Like, what makes someone successful and what doesn't when it comes to achieving goals? So we are going to get into all of that today, and I am hoping that for whatever you want to achieve in 2023, whether it's things just for you, personal things, maybe it is professional goals, career goals that you are looking to achieve, or maybe it's family goals or relationship goals. Whatever it is, I am hoping that this episode will add a lot of value to you now and in the next year. So let's get into it. The first thing I really want you to do as we are starting out in this conversation about goals is I want you to take an inventory of 2022. What went well? What didn't go so well? And I really want you to recognize and take a moment to celebrate the things that you did achieve. What did you accomplish? If you feel like, oh my gosh, I didn't accomplish anything. Maybe you feel like even you went backwards. You can always really learn from that. I want you to look at that and recognize that the accomplishment you can take away from not achieving your goals is the fact that you learned. You learned what is not going to work if you are serious about achieving the goals that you had set last year, right? So take a moment and take inventory of that. You can celebrate, who did you meet? What happened in your career? What happened in your family? Sometimes, honestly, if you went through a major life change or transformation last year, sometimes it's just to take a moment and recognize yourself for the fact that you did the absolute best that you could. You kept your head above water in every way that you knew how, and you took care of the people around you. You took care of yourself. You showed up at your job, and even if maybe your tendency is to get down on yourself, that maybe you didn't do the absolute best that you could, the fact is that you didn't give up. You're still here. right? So whether you achieved a lot of things last year, or maybe you barely scraped by, we all can sit here at the end of 2022 and say, you know what? For whatever my inventory looks like, whatever my rap sheet looks like, I'm still here. I didn't give up. And there's some piece along the way that I can celebrate. I can celebrate and recognize something that I learned, something that I want to grow from. I can recognize the people that I met, the friendships that I cultivated, or even those serious goals that I did achieve and now I'm ready to build on. Take a moment and really look at what ways you can see how the universe led you to where you are right now. Right? Hindsight is always 2020. It's easy now to look back at events and understand why we were guided a certain way. You know, we have a tendency as human beings to always look at the pessimistic or negative side of situations. But the reality is that there is potential that every negative thing is also a positive, right? You know, maybe you had a relationship end. Maybe you had serious news come about a healthcare issue. Maybe there was a job loss. Maybe you faced some really serious challenges in 2022. You have a choice when you look back at these transformational events that were brought to you in your life, and you can either see them as a negative thing where you had to endure and go through something, or maybe even you are still resisting something because it's negative, or you can see it as an opportunity. You can see it as an opportunity for the universe to present to you something even better, right? And I've talked about that on the podcast before, where even though as human beings, we all, and I can say this with absolute certainty, you know, they always say that there's like multiple phobias and people are scared of different things. No, we are all scared of one thing. That's the one universal thing we all are scared of. And it's the one thing that I believe the universe uses to catapult each and every one of us into the people we are designed to be. Right? And that one thing that we all dislike and we all are faced with at some point in life is change. So some of the changes you experienced in 2022 might have been amazing. Some of them maybe not so much. But regardless of how you interpreted the change and how you experienced it in the moment, you have a choice to look back on it as a negative thing or as a positive opportunity to grow more and become more in 2023. I really want you to ask yourself, for better or worse, what were you committed to last year? How did you show up to the world? A long time ago when I was working with my coach in the beginning, she said something that has stayed with me. And what she said was that people are exactly the way that they want to be. And that struck me because, at the time, I was having a conversation with her about a family member who had a very messy house and kept saying that they didn't want to have a messy house, but they continued to have a messy house. And my coach sat there and said, you know what? No, people are exactly the way that they want to be. People who want to have clean houses have clean houses. People who don't want to have clean houses don't have clean houses. And it's not based in desire. It's based in commitment. We are what we are committed to, not what we want. So ask yourself and reflect. What were you committed to last year? Were you committed to showing up every day as a certain type of person? Did you enjoy your experience last year while you were committed to these things? Did things go the way that you wanted? The reason I want to talk about this is because resolutions aren't something out in the future, right? It's not this thing out there that we're going to go chase. Resolutions are right now in the present as we are showing up in this moment. Resolutions are a moment by moment commitment to show up for you in your life exactly the way that you choose. In the book, The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle talks about how the reality is that the past and the future are not real. The only thing that is real is right now in this present moment. So whatever you are dreaming about for your future of 2023, it is not out there. Out there does not exist. It's not real. What is real is right now in this moment, who you are committed to being. And when we examine this, when we examine who we were committed to being in the past, whether we liked it or not, we then can consciously choose how we would like to show up in the now to consciously co-create our future with the universe. You all know that I am incredibly bold and blunt, and so I'm just going to state this now, and I hope you will embrace it, because when you are able to embrace this, all of the power to create and change your life is in your hands. And that is this: you choose everything about your life. You choose. Like my coach said, people are exactly the way that they want to be. Now, we may pass judgment on that. We might look at our life and say, well, I'm not enjoying this. Sure, okay. But you're still choosing it because it's still happening. Now, again, it's not about adding more judgment, right? We're not here to place blame or shame or guilt or say good or bad. As you all know, I don't believe right and wrong exist. All I believe exists are choices. And you can choose to live an aligned, authentic life, or you can choose not to. At the end of the day, choosing to live an aligned and authentic life is the life that will bring you joy. You can intentionally choose things to create a life that you love, or you can live with blinders on, reacting to life as it happens to you, blaming the universe for every ounce of quote unquote bad luck that comes your way, and refusing to step into your power. Now, again, there's no right or wrong here, right? So let's look at this. And if you're listening to this podcast, I'm assuming that you want real, tangible steps, real life advice that you can use to create change or create more of what you love, right? If you are looking for woo-woo, sounds really good and makes me feel better, but isn't really going to get me off my ass to do anything nonsense, I'm not your gal. So totally okay. But let's look at this. How do you know which person you are being? Okay, so looking back at 2022, how do you know whether you are committed to being the person that intentionally chooses to create your life, or you are committed to being reactionary? How do you know? Okay, because it's very simple. It's very simple to tell. And to be honest with you guys, you might be intentional in one area of your life and reactionary in another. More often than not, no one is 100% of either one. So really take an inventory here. Ask yourself this question: did you enjoy last year? Sitting here now, are you proud confident, feeling satisfied, feeling content with the year that you had? In what areas of your life do you look back and say, yeah, I did that thing? And then what areas of your life maybe were you on autopilot? Maybe were you reactionary? Or did you play victim to the circumstances that were happening around you? Did you get what you wanted? Okay, now I'm not saying, number one, that it was easy, right? Nothing about my year last year was easy, folks. Okay, I am honestly, I'll sit here and say I'm super proud of myself. I crushed a lot of major goals last year. Was it easy? Absolutely not. I lost a lot of sleep last year, getting up at 5 a.m. on a regular basis to pursue goals that I had. But can I sit here and say, yeah, it sucked to hear my alarm go off. I did not necessarily enjoy the experience of my feet hitting the floor in the darkness. However, I sit here now and think, wow, I proved to myself that I can do that I can create change and get committed to that. What did you do last year that you got committed to and you created change around? Maybe it was something as simple as fostering a new relationship. Maybe it was developing a new skill or learning about something that you have never learned before. Maybe it was traveling to a new place and needing to figure out the logistics around that. Maybe it was just spending more time with your kids or your family. It doesn't have to be big in the eyes of anyone else except for the fact that it is acknowledged by you. Now, looking forward to 2023, I'm sure we all have ideas of things we would like to accomplish, right? I know that most of the time people desire to make health changes at the beginning of a new year. And there's lots of nice sounding things that people flirt with getting committed to. What I want you to do is write down for you the things that you're interested in getting committed to in making a resolution around in 2023, okay? Write it all down, have a huge brain dump, okay? All the things that sound interesting to you, the things that light you up, the things that feel expansive to you. Okay, it doesn't really matter how many. You could write down 50, you could write down 2. If it's one thing that I know is that dividing your attention often does not work. However, the more committed you can get and more focused you can get, the more expansive your capacity for achievement is. So, for example, last year, there were several personal and professional goals that I had the awesome opportunity to checkmark. I got committed and I completed them. Did I do them all at the same time? No. Okay, so that's a very real thing to consider, is the fact that certain commitments are going to have different time frames. However, what I've watched in me and what I really believe is a human experience is the fact that the more focused we are on showing up as the person we need to be, the more expansive our capacity for success and achievement is. So all of these things that you write down, will you be able to do all of them in January? No. Will you be able to do all of them by August? Probably not. But here's the thing. Some of my goals I didn't achieve until just a few weeks ago, right? That's okay. So I don't want you to limit yourself, but I do want you to acknowledge the amount of time and capacity you have to dedicate to what you're looking to achieve. Okay? Now, once you have all of your potential resolutions written down, right? Look at them in front of you. And the reason I want you to write them down, guys, is, believe it or not, you are 98% more likely to achieve a resolution if you simply write it down. Okay, that literally puts you in the top. So write it down. And even better yet, write it down on a sticky note and put it in front of you. Okay, once you make officially your choices. Now, this is what I want you to do for filtering your choices. Okay, because there's certain things on your list that you thought, might be a good idea. However, they're not going to make it to the final sticky notes on the wall. And here's what I want you to take an inventory of, because the things that you want to achieve, it doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. Whether you want to travel to Bora Bora, whether you want to start a family, whether you want to manifest a romantic relationship, whether you want to get a promotion at work, pursue a personal hobby, doesn't really matter, okay? This is what matters. Underneath each thing that you wrote down, I want you to take an inventory of how you need to show up, who you need to get committed to being to achieve that goal. Okay, because it's not about losing 50 pounds. Losing 50 pounds is getting committed to showing up as the person who wakes up at a certain time, to make working out a priority, who gets committed to their mental health, who gets committed to food choices, who gets committed to seeing medical professionals if that's necessary. Okay? Because, like I said, it's not about the thing. I want you to ask yourself, are you willing to get committed to being that person? Because honestly, I think that's where most people fall short. They want the thing. They want to lose the 50 pounds. They want the promotion at work. They want to pursue the hobby. They want to travel. What they never really took an inventory of, what they never really examined, is how they would have to show up every day, every week, how they would have to show up in relationships, how they would have to engage with family in order to achieve those things. One of the biggest differences between people who achieved their goals and those that didn't was this question: did you believe you could do it? Did you believe you could do it? When you get committed to showing up as the person who is doing the thing, that creates your belief. You want to get a promotion at work? You identify, hey, I might be working late. Hey, I'm going to need to get to the office early to examine these numbers, to go over spreadsheets. Hey, I'm going to need to really dig in to my relationships with my colleagues to really develop our team. What does that look like? Hey, I'm really going to need to communicate this with my family. I'm going to need to be that person that intentionally co-creates this experience, not just for myself, but also for everyone who's coming along with me. Am I willing to be committed to that? And I can promise you, you get committed to those things. You show up every day as that person. Of course, the results will show up. Now, will they show up in their own time, in their own way? Absolutely. Remember, the universe has a way of taking us on a journey. Tomorrow is not promised for anyone. I cannot predict your future. But what I can predict is that when you change who you are committed to being, when you change how you intentionally show up in the world, The universe will excitedly greet you to co-create with you the deepest desires of your heart. So after you have written down for your resolutions these items, these things and ways of being that you would need to get committed to in order to achieve that thing, examine them. Are you willing to do it? And remember, it's not a judgment thing, right? It's not a good or a bad. It's just a, hey, that might not be for me right now. And that's totally okay. In this process, there is grace and forgiveness and ease. At the end of the day, this is your life. And even if there are other people who want you to achieve certain things or want you to do certain things, it is completely and entirely up to you. There is no comparison. There is no judgment. Once you choose the things that you would like to set as your New Year's resolutions, write them down again and write with them the commitments that you are making to yourself, who you are committed to being, how you are going to intentionally show up in the world. Write those things down and put it in front of you. Put it in front of you in a place where you will see it every day. And then show up as that person and watch the magic happen. I can promise you it may not be easy. You may hit some stumbling blocks along the way. You may have unexpected detours. Things might come up. That's all okay. Remember, the only thing that is real is this moment right now. And as each moment passes, there is a new opportunity to get recommitted to anything you desire. I hope each and every one of you has a safe and happy beginning to 2023. I'm excited to be with you next year. And I would love to hear your New Year's resolutions and goals and the commitments that you're making to yourself and the ways that you are choosing to show up next year for you, for your family, and for the world. You can contact me at the Soul Method Facebook page, which is at the Soul Method Yoga, or shoot me an email. My email is Joelle, Joelle, at the.SoL.method.com. I cannot wait to hear from you. I hope you all have a fantastic night. I'll talk to you next year.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic light.